Remember that extraterrestrials have many different ways of making themselves unapproachable by those of vibrationally incompatible energies.
Is some of that having to do with like interfering in the consciousness of the being or shifting what the,
Just a vibrational idea that would not allow a person sufficiently different in vibrational energy to even be capable of approaching an extraterrestrial on a certain wavelength.
it's great.
It is
Oh,
efficient.
yes. Could you tell us a little bit about where we are in the Interstellar Alliance social experiment and how things are going and anything about that?
Well, remember, as we have said, this is a step in the social experiment. The idea of the words emblazoned on the shirt are a step in the social experiment because it's not really a prediction. It is an inducement to bring about that reality. The more you focus on that idea, the more accelerated that reality becomes as you navigate toward it. So this is a step in the social experiment. You're experiencing it right now. And in every live event, you will experience another stage of that as people being exposed to the statement on the shirt are given the opportunity to accelerate and generate that reality. So this is the social experiment in action right now.
It's very exciting.
Yes.
Are activities like I know you can go into a simulator and become weightless and things like that. Do those kinds of experiences also help to prepare people?
They can. It depends on how you use it. But yes,
Because
of course, they can.
because traveling through space does not necessarily entail feeling weightless, does it?
No, not in our ships.
Okay,
Now, in your ships, it still does.
right.
Although you do have technology to make that go away with rotation, centripetal force, so on and so on. But the idea is that we operate in a very different way. Internally in our craft, you are not weightless. Although you can be if you wish to be.
So when you were talking about the rotation and everything, it reminded me of the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes.
Was that part of that creation, sort of a channeled thing that was also brought to us to start preparing us for the idea of where we might be going in the future?
In part, yes.
Interesting. Okay, so let's see. This person is saying that they were born prematurely and they had to stay in the hospital for 2 months after being born. And their mother's friend saw a spaceship above their hospital bed during that time. Is there any way you can share whose that spaceship that was and why it was there?
The beings connected to the child, making sure that that spirit, that soul that had chosen that experience was doing all right, was doing what it needed to do to move through that experience in the way it had chosen to do so. So a little bit of support from above to help what was going on below.
And you said that there are some hybrid children among us who are already in orphanages.
Well, and
Do
also having been adopted into families.
and do these hybrid children know they're hybrids and that their purpose is to help humanity? And will we be able to tell when we're looking at a hybrid child?
Sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't tell right now. Eventually, yes, they all know who they are, what they are, why they are there. They are all aware of the fact that they are hybrids that have been planted on the earth for the purpose of uplifting and helping humanity's evolutionary path. Eventually, you will be able to recognize them when you are taught how to. by the extraterrestrials that will eventually come.
And the idea that humans are often afraid of things that are different from them, and they have a reaction to that of rejection or fear. Um, so, how will humanity integrate these ideas of these children coming here and eventually, I guess, merging with us into a new reality?
In the same way you adapt to anything. But first and foremost, you have to realize that you are all different from one another. And therefore, it's really not that unusual to experience differences. You may think that certain groups are quote unquote the same, but they're not. You have to start really understanding on an individual basis that every single one of you is truly unique. You are all different from one another in a variety of ways, even if you think you belong to the same so-called group.
Well, it's pretty exciting that this is in our future for sure.
It has been in your past, it is in your present, and in your future. It has always been so, and it has never gone away, and it will always be so, because this is the Earth evolution.
Very exciting. It's almost like an ET movie, a science fiction movie.
It is
Um,
science fact.
it's a science fact movie. That's great. Um, Can you speak on the mantis beings? This person is saying they believe they encountered a purple crystalline mantis being of sorts, and it gave them downloads and information about existence, kind of clarity on the cyclical nature of reality and individual experience. And it told them that divine feminine is basically the epitome of this reality, or to put it humbly, that the divine feminine is such a critical part of this. Can you shed some more light on this?
All we are allowed to say at this moment is that this being perceived the mantis from a higher level, from its angelic realm level. It is not literally an angel, but it is operating on a frequency that would allow it to be seen by humans as a kind of angelic energy. And this is the representation of the violet crystal shape of the mantis being. You're sort of seeing deeper into what it actually is, downloading energy and letting you know how important it is to balance the male and female energy on your planet at this time. The mantis beings within themselves represent a perfect balance between the male and female energies.
And this person is saying they see extraterrestrial vehicles in the sky near Sedona nearly every night. They play games, they mimic their moves, they laugh. This person laughs and claps, and they think their thoughts are of gratitude, love, joy, and happiness are telepathically coming from space. Is that correct?
Yes,
So that would be a more natural way that we interact with ETs is when we're in a state of high joy and love and acceptance that we're on a similar wavelength with them.
yes. That's why we always say, meet us halfway. Be of the same frequency. You cannot experience what you're not the frequency of. We are the frequency of joy and love unconditionally.
It's really wonderful. Um,
Full of wonder.
it's full of wonder, yes. Um, what will happen to the Vatican post-disclosure 2027? Will the secret texts in the library be revealed?
Yes, all will be revealed in the years following open contact.
Now, is that after 2027 or is that after we actually, the year that follows where we're having more of a level of contact than simply
Well, that still all happens after 2027,
2027?
whether it takes a year or 5 years or 10. It's
I see.
all within the time frame of the acceleration of full disclosure after the introduction of extraterrestrials. So many things that have been hidden will be revealed, either very, very soon after open contact or within the years that follow.
So does Pope Leo have an ET connection, and will he be integral with disclosure?
Yes.
Okay. There was a congressional briefing on UAPs that took place earlier this month on May 1st, 2025. The briefing involved the UAP Disclosure Fund and the task force on the declassification of federal secrets within the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. A member of the advisory board mentioned various ET races such as Greys, Nordics, insectoid, and reptilian ETs during this 3.5 hour discussion before sitting members of Congress. Would you like to make any further comments?
No comment from us at this time is necessary.
Okay.
Continue with your investigations and your revelations of disclosure.
Okay, and can you tell us about the recent sphere found in Buga, Colombia? The sphere displays symbols that scientists compared to ancient scripts, including runes, Ogham, and Mesopotamian writing systems.
This is a
It has no,
conversation. This is a conversation for another time.
okay. And will the Earth undergo significant geographical changes soon? For example, how much are sea levels expected to rise, and how intense will the volcanic eruptions and earthquakes be?
Over time, these things will occur, but over a larger stretch of time than you may think.
Okay. Anything else about that?
No.
Okay. Excuse me. Um, why have all the enlightened beings in history been male?
They're
Have
not.
the, have the females just been erased because of the male domination agenda?
Yes, but they have existed,
Are
and
there
it
any?
will again be revealed when your history is shown to you by the extraterrestrial.
Okay, do you want to mention any of the enlightened females?
You will not recognize it until it is shown to you.
Uh, you've mentioned that Jesus never really meant to start a whole religion, that he was just trying to show us how to awaken the Christ within, that we can be like him. I am thinking that open contact will expose many truths about religions. How will people adapt to this, finding out that Christianity is not completely understood as it was initially transmitted? And what will happen
Religion on
to,
your planet, religion on your planet in its present form will no longer exist by the year 2050. It will be more the understanding of direct spiritual contact.
all right.
If you wish, in retrospect, since you are now talking about it from this perspective, one of the enlightened females is the being that you call the Magdalene, who should have been the continuation of Jesus's teachings, but was not because of male domination. So
Where
that
does
is
this, where does the male domination issue emanate from? Was it something having to do with how we were originally created?
no.
Is there any more that you can help us understand why this is our challenge to balance?
For now, I will just say it comes from forgetfulness and fear, from a feeling of disconnection and disempowerment, from a depth of that experience and the attempt to control, to regain connection, even though that is not the way it works. The male seeks to dominate outwardly. The female seeks to understand control inwardly. In the cycle of the earth that is now ending, the understanding that trying to control the outer reality is an illusion. It is going within where control is understood, where control is found, where connection is found. And this is why the rise of the feminine energy is now so important and critical in your society. But in the forgetfulness of past ages, those that sought to regain connection could only imagine the idea of it happening from attempting to control the outer environment, to dominate. So the amplification and magnification of the male side of the energy became accelerated until such time as you have arrived at a point where you are beginning to learn that it is an illusion to try and control the outer reality, since the outer reality is itself a projection or an illusion. And you must go within to regain your sense of connection. And that is why the feminine energy is now rising and must form a balance, so that there is a balance of your relationship between the inner and the outer.
So the idea of the animalistic versions of beings that existed when we were initially hybridized, is that part of what's, in a sense, driving this, the way that, or are the animals really a reflection of the survival mode that was adopted in response to being physical?
Animals are always acting unconditionally as a reflection of the processes that humanity is going through in its consciousness.
So it's not the idea that our animalistic tendencies have to be suppressed in order for us to be balanced beings. It's rather that the animals are reflecting that we are still perceiving things from that perspective.
Yes, it is, as indigenous cultures have called it, koyaanisqatsi, life out of balance.
Um, this person is saying that they've heard that Earth was a prison planet. If
No,
so, how do we
never. No,
never?
never. No, never.
Okay, and did the ETs want to intervene when they saw how humans are destroying the planet, or is this that would not be the correct path? Or is that what's happening now?
That is what is happening now to a certain degree. It has been allowed in the past that certain cultures destroyed themselves. At this time, the passage of Earth in its evolutionary path is vital to the cosmos and will not be allowed to be destroyed again. And thus, it is now time for what you might call an intervention, but not in the way that you might think. Nevertheless, the preservation of humanity and the preservation of Earth at this time is of paramount importance to the universe in a variety of ways that, again, will be explained to you after open contact. You will understand them.
And in our neighborhood of ETs, are there other planets that are so biodiverse and amazing in terms of the biological aspects of the planet?
There are many planets that are extremely biodiverse, even more so than the Earth. But the idea is that your immediate neighbors are not necessarily so biodiverse.
So
This
this
is
is
for the purpose of allowing you to gain familiarity with them in a way that you recognize as being somewhat similar to your reality, so that, again, you have more comfortability in interacting with them. Later, you will be introduced to those that are far more biodiverse than you, far more alien than you.
And ultimately, all of the extinction that's occurred on this planet with advanced beings or advanced technology, all of this can be retrieved, similar to the Greys coming to Earth and needing human DNA.
It can all be retrieved, or at least what is relevant can be retrieved for humanity's evolutionary path forward. Yes.
Great.
And again,
Oh,
remember that many different things will be introduced to you where you don't have to necessarily retrieve them. They will simply be given to you.
um, you've mentioned our relationship to Sasquatch.
We will
Um,
not discuss that at this time.
okay. And anything you could say about the farmers and the years of drought and climate change that they're experiencing? And what advice would you have for successful agriculture in our changing world?
The idea of adding certain frequencies to the water that you use for your crops will be of benefit, and you will learn how to do this after open contact. Genetic alteration of certain seeds to make them hardier to face the climate changes on your planet will also be taught to you in a way that is natural. So there will be many adjustments made to the way in which you will grow food on your planet so that it can survive in the changes that will be occurring to your ecology.
Okay. And this person is saying that they hear many people talking about communicating with trees. Are trees consciously communicating with us, or are we just projecting our higher selves onto the trees?
You are doing both. Trees are consciously communicating, and humans also project their own consciousness onto the trees, which can be reflected back to you by the tree's own consciousness in a certain way.
So, like some people experience trees, like a grove of trees, as being a community where they are almost like tree people that you are perceiving.
Yes.
Is that an accurate idea? Because there's
From
young and
one
old.
perspective, from one perspective, holographically, yes. At the same time, the tree may consider itself, or the grove may consider itself to be one being.
All
Again,
communicating through the
this
mycelial.
and that, this and that, not this or that.
Okay.
So it
And
can be presented both as individuals and as a collective, single being.
what are some of the things that the trees can teach us?
This is a long subject that you do not have time for at this time.
Okay. We'll revisit it in the future.
Yes.
Um, does the Earth Gaia have its own consciousness? And if so, what is it? And given your explanation, what effect will the pole shift have, if any, on Earth's humanity?
It's a resetting of humanity, a resetting of the electromagnetic field to represent the shift into the new reality. Gaia's consciousness is the consciousness of the collective consciousness of all life upon the earth, represented as a single being in the way that we just described, where you can look at that consciousness as every individual on the earth, both plants, animals, rocks, trees, humans, what have you. And you can look at it as a single entity as the earth sees itself, as the consciousness of Gaia sees itself and knows itself.
Okay, and when you talk about first contact, if there's multiple parallel Earths, will first contact occur on all versions of Earth or just a
Of course
few?
not. Of
Yeah,
course not. Of
right.
course not.
Okay.
Otherwise, there wouldn't be all versions of Earth.
So the idea of shifting yourself to a parallel Earth where contact will occur is actually part of the focusing.
This is why, again, we give you the formula, because following it acts as your navigational rudder, moving you in that direction where you have open contact versions of Earth.
Okay. And are all beings on this planet, from animals to rocks, trees, plants, etc., the creator expressing itself in them and experiencing itself through their experience?
Yes, there's nothing else from which anything is made. There is only one. There is only source. Everything is an aspect and a reflection of source. Everything.
Okay. So these are some questions relating to the formula. One of them is this person is saying they have a challenge with social media addiction. And what happens is that every time they want to act on their passion, they end up scrolling social media and watching YouTube videos, thus avoiding doing the actual work.
Yes,
Once in a
it's
while, when they do
procrastination.
act, it always more difficult and takes away more effort. It takes more effort than they imagined. How can they change their social media addiction?
This is a procrastination technique because they are afraid with their definitions that they have of moving forward because the definitions they have make things more difficult. So until they change their definitions and their relationship to the things they say are representative of their passion, they're actually not in relation with their passion. They're in relation with definitions that don't work for them. And thus they choose procrastination to avoid having to go down pathways that they have defined as too difficult. So they need an honest house cleaning of their belief system, and their definitions need to change in ways so that they can create definitions of the things that are representative of their passion that are more in alignment to the way that they would prefer to do them. So they're simply holding on to old definitions that don't work for them and thus choosing procrastination to avoid having to do things that don't work for them. But there are always paths that work for every individual. They just have to have the creativity, willingness, and imagination to either discover or even create those paths for themselves that are more in alignment with who they prefer to be. So it requires a deep investigation, self honesty, a house cleaning, a letting go, fear-based beliefs, negative beliefs, limiting beliefs, definitions that don't work for them. Then they won't procrastinate once they have cleared out all of the definitions they have decided to hold on to or believe they have to hold on to in order to allow them to move forward along paths in a different way that works for them.
Okay. And this is a bit of a long question, but it's very interesting. This person is saying that their husband was a pilot for 37 years. Flying was all he ever knew and loved. And over that time, he developed a passion for aliens, UFOs, open contact. And he began sharing these interests with other pilots, and they all even witnessed a few UFOs together. Eventually, someone reported him to the company as potentially mentally unstable, and he was sent to a psychiatrist and underwent various evaluations. And then, after months of back and forth, the company found another reason to terminate him and revoked his commercial pilot license. The question is, why did following his passion lead him to such a difficult outcome? Could this unpreferred path still lead to something positive? He now has vivid dreams of piloting different kinds of UFOs and watches everything he can about them. Is there such a thing as a job flying UFOs? And given his decades of flight experience and intense passion, but no license, what can he do next?
Yes, it will lead to a shift in his career. Yes, it is part of his life path to let go of doing things in the way he has been doing and doing them in new ways. And first and foremost, he can still fly airplanes on a different basis. Someone will come to him to ask him to do so. The idea is he doesn't necessarily need a commercial license to fly a plane. He can become a private pilot in certain ways if he so desires. Nevertheless, this is going to be an opportunity to clear the way for him to be more engaged in certain ways with the idea of UFO technologies after open contact.
So the idea is that how do we know if what happens in our lives, which we don't like, isn't an expression of the fact that we're not following our greatest excitement, rather than an experience that naturally follows the fact that we're following our excitement? How do we deal with this?
Well, again, you have to approach every single challenge with curiosity and an understanding that it is the most important thing that could possibly be happening is whatever it is that's happening at present. and stay in that positive state, which is part of the formula, so that you can have the inspirations and get the benefits from it and understand that it is going to lead to an expression of your passion, even though you may not understand how it could do so. You don't have to know how, you will see how. If you stay in the positive state, you will see how more clearly and sooner.
And so that's really a very strong challenge to find positive meaning when things go apparently awry.
You don't find the positive meaning. The positive meaning will come to you if you just stay in a state of curiosity as to what it does mean for you, knowing that it will lead you to a positive understanding or a positive experience. You don't have to find the positive meaning, it will find you. You just have to stay in a state of curiosity and openness.
So this probably relates to the idea of this question, which is if the formula works perfectly, then why are there so many starving artists? Why is the starving artist even a thing?
This question assumes that all artists are actually acting on their passions. The idea also is you have to look at what the life plan is of these people. Sometimes it may include many challenges that don't allow them to experience the benefits of following their passion right away, because that may serve other purposes for them to learn other kinds of lessons, or that the people around them that are in relation with them are learning lessons from their experience as well. So it is kind of an assumption on the part of this questioner that anyone who calls themselves an artist is actually automatically acting on their passion when they may not be. And this person is ignoring the fact that different people choose different life paths for different reasons. And even though they may express the idea of their life path artistically, doesn't necessarily mean that that is a logical conclusion for them to say that they will experience that in a positive way, depending upon why they chose to experience that. So you have to look at the reasons for the life path and the lessons that that person is learning.
And perhaps that integrates with this question, which is when you say we are given what we need by life instead of what we want, does this mean that a person shouldn't make any efforts towards manifesting their desires and wants? Because life will give them what it thinks is right. Sometimes I feel scared about this unknown factor that life may throw at us. How do we deal with this fear?
Well, first you have to have a deeper understanding of the formula that we're giving you, because then you would know that anything that comes to you is going to benefit you if you stay in a positive state and approach the challenge with curiosity. The idea also is to understand that what you need will fulfill you, although sometimes what you want won't. So you have to learn the difference between your negative ego assumptions and the idea of what it is your soul knows is actually going to benefit you if you use it in that positive way. If you stay in that state of neutrality, curiosity, and openness, you will get what you need and you will be fulfilled. You have to have a deeper understanding, a more precise understanding of how the formula works.
Okay, and I guess this will be our last question. Um, could you please share a concept or idea that we humans can just barely begin to grasp? Something that, even if it takes a lifetime to understand or come to terms with, would still leave a profoundly transformative impact on the mind and consciousness of anyone who hears it.
It is important for you to understand at this time in your evolution that what you think of as the difference between physical and spiritual reality is the slightest difference in your vibrational frequency. It may seem like a large gap, a large gulf, that you have to change your frequency in tremendous ways to uplift and ascend yourself back into the spirit realm. But actually, in fact, The so-called idea of the veil that people refer to between physical and non-physical reality is just the slightest of variations in your overall frequency. Because remember, you never leave spirit. And if you can really wrap your mind around the idea that you, the real you, the soul you, is in spirit right now while you're having this physicalized dream experience, you will start to realize how thin this so-called veil actually is that is represented by the slightest difference in energy, frequency, vibrations. You are literally in two worlds at once that are not even really two worlds, but simply in the world of all that is, imagining that you're in a different world. That world is within you. You have never left your home, never left your natural state. It's not possible for you to do so. Understand that and feel that fully, and you will understand everything that you need to. For your life will unfold synchronistically before you, and inspirations will blossom in your mind that will lead you forward and navigate you forward as you shift to the versions of Earth that are more representative of the totality of your being, which is made of the unconditional love of existence itself. So wrap your minds around that. It will
Thank
be the
you.
wind in your sails going forward. And
Thank
now, you are welcome. Please prepare yourselves for the continuation of this transmission. Please allow yourselves to relax, to breathe easily, deeply, calmly. Allow the cares of the day to melt away. Let them pour out of your body into the earth. Let the earth hold them for now. It can handle it. Let yourself be a clear vessel, an empty vessel, a clear conduit. Feel the wind rush through you, cleaning you out, cleaning out the cobwebs, cleaning out the attic, rushing through, blowing all the dust out, leaving you sparkling clean inside and ready to receive a higher frequency of light. Allow yourselves to continue to breathe in this pure, crystalline light and feel your vibration rising. Feel yourself warming up. Feel yourself revving up. Feel the harmonic chords within you singing. Allow yourself to breathe in that vibration. Allow your frequency to rise higher and higher and higher. Feel the vibrational frequency of your astral self rising up out of your body, expanding beyond the physical form a little bit and a little bit more and a little bit more as you move a little bit closer to being the soul and feel the vibration that goes along with that, the higher frequency above 200,000 cycles per second. Feel the harmonics. Feel and sense that you're tapping into and communicating with your spirit team, the spirit guides. Feel them there. The angelic beings, feel them there. Your soul family, feel them there. Extraterrestrials, feel them there. You are now a more sensitive receiver, a more sensitive antenna being slightly expanded beyond the idea of your physical form and physical personality. Become aware, just know. And whatever way, shape, or form it translates to you, be aware of your spirit team. Be aware. Just know they are there. Feel their energy smile at you. Feel their energy touch you, hold you, nurture you, love you unconditionally. Feel them support you through all the challenges that you face in life. Feel them encourage you. And allow yourself to open up to the idea that you are extremely close to manifesting these kinds of connections in your physical reality. For when we talk about the idea that 2027 is the year that everything changes, we are not only talking about the idea of physical contact with extraterrestrials, it is also the beginning of starting to improve your ability, starting to sensitize your ability to receive communication and perceive your spirit guides, your soul family, your angelic team, and other beings starting to manifest, starting to appear to you in apparitional form more solidly, so that you can begin from that year forward, or sooner, or a little bit later, whatever your pace is, to actually see the entirety of your spirit team start manifesting to you in some degree in physical form, to let you know that you always have contact with those who are in spirit, whether they have incarnated and left or not, or whether they never incarnated or not, matters not. For it is all different degrees of the same reality. Physical reality is just a crystallization of spirit, a densification of spirit, no less spiritual than spirit. And in the idea and inevitability and experience of open contact, it is not just with extraterrestrials, but with extra-dimensionals as well, and can begin in whatever way, shape, or form you are prepared and willing to open and accept the ability to commune, to perceive, and interact with all beings beyond your world. Breathe it in and let it become your inevitable and imminent visceral reality. Start to feel it crystallizing. Start to feel the reality of it, the solidity of it. Continue to breathe it in and out. Relax into the flow. Feel the energy, feel the support, feel the love. And welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome to the home you have never really left, but have simply gone on an adventure within your consciousness. For that is what consciousness can do. Breathe it in, breathe it out. Allow it to become one. Dissolve the ideas of barriers between the physical and non-physical to whatever degree serves you, to whatever degree allows you to still learn your lessons, to whatever degree allows your soul to grow. Different for everyone. Your pacing is your own. Your timing is your own. Let synchronicity be your guide. Breathe it in and breathe it out. Our unconditional love to you all. Aveo.